भजरे गुरु चरणं दुर्धर भव सागर तरे.
Have you all heard Swami sing? Absolutely. But have you all heard him sing through his devotees? Well, today we have one such vivid narration that will take us on a musical journey with our dearest Swami, the divine musician. Sail It inaugurates the first episode of our season 3 on this auspicious Guru Purnima day. Srimati Anushri Nithin shares on a first ever meeting with the divine that she casually regards, which then later becomes a longing for her to meet Bhagavan when she realizes Baba is indeed God incarnate. That deep longing turns into a magical opportunity for her to not just meet him, but to sing and perform in front of her beloved Krishna. She lands in Puttaparthi, all ready for the big day when she wakes up to find her voice drowned in silence. At that point of helplessness, Srimati Anushri let go of the doership and surrenders to Swami to sing through her. What happens next will put us all in moments of thrills, driving down the message that Baba is the Guru, guide and God for her and for all of us. He is the performer, he is the singer, he is the voice, and he is the song. The singing journey was just a process that Srimati Anushri was put into to be imparted the importance of humility and surrender. Bringing you all back to witness Bhagavan's omnipresence and ever-loving grace for this episode. As we were planning this Guru Purnima special episode, Srimati Anushri was singing the Jaya Vijay Bhava and praying to Swami to indicate whether she should shoot for this episode. As she opened her eyes, her gaze fell on the white dots on the Hanuman Chalisa book at her altar. A Vibhuti manifestation indeed. What more can we say? The doer of all doers, the guide of all guides, and the Guru of all Gurus, Sri Satya Sai Baba was, is, and will be our guiding light. Let's immerse ourselves in his divinity.
Sai Ram, offering my most humble pranams at the divine lotus feet of Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba. Sai Ram to all of you. I thank Swami for giving me this wonderful opportunity to relive my personal moments with him and to share my journey with all of you on this auspicious day. My very first darshan of Swami when I was 11 years old. Me and my family had gone to Kodaikanal for a holiday. Little did we know, Swami was also there in Kodaikanal. We used to live in Madurai and it was very usual for us to go to Kodaikanal during every summer. So it was during one such trip, me along with my cousins, we were going about with our usual, holiday activities like horse riding and boating without even knowing that Swami was very much there in Kodaikanal at the same time. So it was during the boat riding that the guide who was along with us was having a conversation with my dad, and I still remember I was listening to what the conversation was. So that time this guide asked my dad, "Do you know Sai Baba?" My dad said, "Yes, we know Sai Baba, and some consider him as God and some consider him as Kali Yuga avatar and all, but we are not very sure, but yeah, we know him." Why? Then this guide smiles and he says, "Can you look at the building there? That is Sai Baba's house." And then he looked at his watch and he said, "It is just gonna be 5 and you're just in time for darshan. So if you all wish and if you all want to see him, I can turn the boat back so that you all can rush and have his darshan." So my dad was a little surprised that, "What? Sai Baba is here in Kodaikanal? Okay." Then he looked at my mom and my mom said, "Okay, because we are having come from a religious family, they were also very curious to go and have his darshan because he's a guru, right? So let's go take his blessings and have his darshan." This was the thought. And then my dad said, "Okay, let's go." So this guide actually turned the boat 180 degrees so that we were able to go to have his darshan. We rushed to Sai Shruti We didn't know anything about how Swami gives darshan or where should we sit. We were assured by the volunteers, and we were made to sit at a such specific spot. Within few minutes, Swami came out for darshan. I could see Swami coming out of the glass door with a beautiful bush of hair, golden robe, with a beautiful smile, walking so graciously and blessing each and everyone who were there present for his darshan. And he was smiling and waving his hands, and he just blessed everyone, and he went inside. Nothing happened as such, but it was just the darshan that instantly attracted me. Even at that age of 11 years, I knew that there was something special in him. Obviously, we don't have any personal experiences to say for sure whether if he is God or not. But obviously, there are some people who are saying he is God, so there must be something special to him. This was the attitude for me and my family at that time. Now, thinking back, I feel that was the moment when Swami entered our lives. So, ever since that trip, I always considered this particular form, which is Sai Baba, as my lucky charm. So, if I see him, then I consider it as a lucky charm, so I will get good marks or good grades in my exams. So my mom also knows that I consider Swami as lucky charm. So every time when she's watching a television and there must be some darshan videos in one of the local channels in India, my mom will call me and say, Anu, come and see who is this. So I will go and have a look at the Swami's darshan, and when I see him, I feel like, okay, fine, tomorrow's exam I will be able to do well. So I always considered him as a lucky charm. But that's about it. Later we moved to Coimbatore, and coincidentally we were staying in Sai Baba Colony. The name of the place was Sai Baba Colony because there was a beautiful Shirdi temple there. And almost every week, me and my mom and my dad, we used to go to Shirdi temple. I instantly got attracted to that Shirdi form. I don't know why, but I instantly got attracted to that Shirdi form. Almost every week I would go there, and I really liked that form for some reason. And that's about it. So that 2 years I think was my instant connection with Shirdi Sai Baba, and it was during that time when Shirdi Baba entered my life. Nothing really happened as in like experience happened to let us know that Swami is God. It was later when I came to Singapore, I really started realizing that Baba, Sathya Sai Baba and Shirdi Sai Baba are indeed my Lord Krishna. So when I came to Singapore, it was the first time I was being away from my family. I was feeling very lonely, and I was having conversations with my friends, and it was during one such chat that one of my friends suggested, you sing very well. Why don't you come and sing for the Sai centers? And I was like, what? Sai center? You mean Sathya Sai Baba center? Then he said, yes, there is a Sai center in NUS. Why don't you come and sing? So I love singing, and music is very, very close to my heart, and I instantly agreed. And when I went to the Sai center, I saw Baba's photo, and I was like, oh, okay, I have seen him when I was young. I have seen him, but there was no connect between me and Swami at that time. Why I'm stressing this is because today's episode is on music, and music is very close to my heart, and it is indeed music which actually took me very close to Swami as well. So I made my first entry into Sai Center, into Swami through music. I started singing bhajans, and I started getting experiences of Swami and Shirdi Sai Baba, and through many experiences, personal experiences, he proved to me that he is indeed very much my Lord Krishna, my Lord Guruvayurappan. So now being a devotee, like every other devotee, I had this intense yearning to go see Swami in Puttaparthi. I was yearning to go and see in Puttaparthi, and I told Swami, this is not fair. The very first time I saw you, I didn't know anything about you, but you gave me your darshan. But now I know all about you. I want to come and have your darshan in Puttaparthi. Please call me. I was having this intense yearning to go to Puttaparthi just to have his darshan. So in 2009, I was praying really, really hard, like, Swami, please call me. I need to have a valid reason to come to Puttaparthi, because in my family, I'm the first one to come to Swami. So obviously, there must be some valid reason for me to go to Puttaparthi. So I was asking him and yearning and deeply praying. So I was really crying in front of my altar. And you wouldn't believe, brothers and sisters, on the same day, I got a message from one of the Sai sisters in the center. So she messaged to me saying that, Saira Manishri, hope you're doing good. I'm very delighted to let you know that we are planning a trip to Puttaparthi in the December 2009. And as a part of this trip, we are planning for a program. And this time around, they have decided to include choir. So would you like to sing for Swami? This was exactly what she wrote in the message. She asked me, would you like to sing for Swami and be a part of this choir? My joy knew no bounds. It is like a double blessing for me. So the first thing is, I'm going to see Swami for the second time in my life. First time in Puttaparthi, which I have been praying for. It was an answer to my prayer. And the second one is, music is very, very close to my heart. And she is asking me whether if I would like to sing for Swami. So for me, it was really like a double blessing, and without a doubt, I said yes. I immediately called my parents and I said, Swami has called me to Puttaparthi. Swami wants me to sing and I have to go. So I was so thrilled, just like everyone else who also agreed to be a part of this Parthi trip. We assembled in the center in Singapore for practice sessions where, all the instructions were given. People who have already performed in front of Swami before were sharing their experience, trying to paint a little picture of what we could expect. And I very clearly remember the coordinator also insisting on the fact that it is not the final performance that we need to be, very ready for. It is the process. Swami looks at the process and the effort that you are going to put. And the next 3 months is gonna be the sadhana before you go and sing in front of Swami. This is what she said. So I took it very seriously because this is my first trip. And I said, Swami, yes, if it is going to be a sadhana, it is going to be a sadhana. I am going to give 100% of my singing and my practice as a sadhana for coming and singing in front of you. So the practice session started. So I was blessed to be a part of the choir. So during the choir, how, it is like there were like 20-30 people, brothers and sisters, and there were like seating arrangements for each of the choir. So I think in the arrangement, it looked like all the lead singers were in the front line, and then followed by the rest of the singers who were also participated in the choir. So I got a place to be sitting in the first row along with other lead singers. So now imagine my plight, okay? So I'm already excited to going to Puttaparthi and I'm sitting in the front row. I'm like, oh my God, I can see Swami so clearly sitting in the front row, and there will be no obstructions, and I can see, and obviously Swami can also see me. So the next desire that came in my mind was, I should sing and Swami should hear me singing. This was a thought that came in my mind. So every practice sessions, I used to give my 100%. Even though it was a choir, I used to sing loudly and sing 100%, giving 100% for the choir. So the coordinator, after the practice sessions, every time the comment from the coordinator was like, oh, I could only hear Anushri's voice. So initially, I thought it was a compliment to me and my singing, that, okay, so she can hear my voice, Swami can also hear my voice. So all good, right? Sitting in the front row, my coordinator can hear my voice and Swami can hear my voice. Slowly my ego was coming out. Then, so the practice went on, and after every practice, I used to get the same comment from the coordinator saying that, oh, I can only hear Anushri's voice. I can only hear Anushri's voice. So what happened was, the first time, what felt like a compliment didn't start to feel like a compliment anymore. I was like starting to contemplate on that comment very deeply. Why is the coordinator saying that only my voice is heard? It doesn't look like a compliment anymore to me. Questions started coming in my mind, and I started thinking like, this is a choir. It's not a solo performance. A choir is something where, so many voices join together and you're actually presenting as one voice to Swami. And then I started thinking, will Swami be really happy if just your voice is heard and not the others? If Swami will be really happy if there is no union in the voices and only your voice stands out, will he be happy? And started realizing that this is my personal sadhana and I have to correct something somewhere. I didn't know what exactly, but I just knew that Swami will not be happy if just my voice is heard. I think without my knowledge, Swami started the transformation process and that ego churning process inside me. Even so, the excitement of just going to Puttaparthi overtook everything. I was so looking forward to go to Puttaparthi and sing in front of Swami now that I have got. So in fact, before leaving, I was having a conversation with my friend and I told him that, actually, I'm so grateful that Swami has called me for darshan, and this music is like a bonus, and I'm just getting to sing, which is like an additional bonus blessing for me. But really my intention was just to go and have his darshan. So the day came, on the 1st of December, we all left for Puttaparthi. The very first time I went to Prasanthi Nilayam, I saw Prasanthi Nilayam. It was as beautiful as everyone described. My eyes was tearing to see Swami in his ashram, and we had the very first darshan on the 1st of December. So it was a 13-day program, and we were actually waiting for Swami to give us a date when we were supposed to perform. So the routine in Prasanthi Nilayam was like, in the mornings we will go for darshan, and we will also attend the evening darshan. So in between we had practice all the time. So that was our personal sadhana as well. So we were, every time I remember we were in the darshan hall, Swami will either avoid our group, or Swami will look at our group and say, wait, when we were asking for permission to perform. Finally, on the 7th or the 8th day, Swami actually granted us permission to say that, okay, on the 10th of December, you would be performing in Prasanthi Nilayam in Kulwant Hall. When the news came, we were so happy. We were like thrilled and jumping and hugging, and finally, yes, 2 more days, intense sadhana, intense practice. We have to sing and give our best to Swami. So during our choir practice sessions, the bhajan coordinator who was supposed to be there was not there, and then he sent word to the co-coordinator that, after hearing all the recordings of the practice sessions, and there is some change that needs to be made in the choir seating arrangement in order to balance the voice. And he said, this is just for the better of the choir, and we have to make this change. So when this announcement was made, I was sitting in the front row in the same seating position which I have been used to for the last three months during my practice sessions, and I was thinking, okay, seating arrangement might be for someone else. Why should I worry? I'm one of the good singers and there shouldn't be any problem with me. This was running in my head. And then he says, okay, and then he points out a girl from the second row. He asked that sister to stand up, and the next name was my name. They called my name in the front row and asked to stand up, and then they said, you both swap the position. So from the first row, I was bumped to the second row. I was totally shocked, and my ego was 50% shattered. I just couldn't find the rationale behind it, why I had to be moved to the second row. Can you imagine, 3 months I have been sitting and practicing in the front row. Even the angle at which I will be looking at Swami was also in my head. And just 2 days before the final performance, I was moved from the front row to the second row. This was my first ego bash by Swami. I just couldn't take it. I was like crying and crying in my heart. Obviously, I cannot show it outside because practice is still going on. So the coordinator, after rebalancing the group, he asked each row to keep singing the songs row by row, just to see how the voices are being balanced. And when the first row, obviously with all the lead singers, most of them sitting there, the coordinator would give like compliments and comments like, wow, Swami is gonna materialize something for you, but you guys are singing so well. And then the second row, when my row was asked to sing, when we sing, obviously, I will be giving the best, but when I'm singing, I used to get all comments like, oh my God, why are you all even singing, like that kind of comments, which was very hard for me. In my mind, I'm like, this is not fair. I was in the front row and then somebody pushed me from front row to the second row, and because of that, I'm getting all these comments. I was not very happy at all. The second knock and the absolute knock was, then they decided the placement of the mic. And then they said, okay, all the lead singers in the front row will get a mic. So in my head, I'm thinking, obviously I'm a lead singer, so I will get a mic. And then they say that people in the second row will only get a chorus mic and there is no mic for me. So that was an absolutely shattered my ego. Here I would like to just stress a point. I started singing from the age of 5 and I am Carnatically trained as well. And every annual day functions in my school or every function in the colony that I lived, I was always the lead singer. I was always with a mic. So never in my life has a mic been taken away from me. And this was the very first time that a mic has been taken away from me, and that too in Puttaparthi, just a day before my performance. My confidence and my ego was completely shattered. So it was by the time it was the end of the practice session, I just rushed outside. The sister who was bumped to the front row was crying happy tears, and me, who was from the first row, I was moved to the second row. I started crying, and mine was not happy tears. My tears were not happy. They were sad tears, and I was crying and crying and crying and crying and unconsolably crying and asking Swami, what are you doing? Or do you not want me to sing? This was the question running in my head, and at that point of time I totally forgot about everything, and my only priority was singing, first row, and mic being taken away from me. So I gave a call to my friend who was back in Singapore, and I was crying and explaining to him all that was happening in Puttaparthi at that time. And then he, like a knock on my head, he actually said, wait a minute, Anushri, when you left for Puttaparthi, I remember you very distinctly telling me that music is just an excuse. What you really want to is to go and have darshan of Swami. You believe he is God. You are in his house. Prashant Nilayam is his house. You are in his house. Rather than having and enjoying his darshan, are you really so bothered about not having a mic? You are in Puttaparthi. You believe he is God. So enjoy his darshan. If you believe he is God, he will hear your performance. And also remember, if something very close or something like this is taken away from you, take it as a blessing, and also take it because Swami is going to bless you with something even better than all this. On the 9th day, we were called after the morning darshan. We were asked to assemble because they were giving us some final instructions, and they said the Swami might allow us to sing bhajans, so they have asked us to prepare 8 or 9 bhajans. And so after this practice sessions, all the lead singers, please stay back. So by this point, my ego has been shattered in such a way that I was not even sure whether if I was a lead singer. So I thought rather than staying back and getting embarrassed, might as well just go back to the room. So after the performance was, the practice was over, I very silently got up and started walking back to the room. And then this bhajan coordinator calls me and says, "Hey Anushri, where are you going, sister?" I said, "Brother, I'm going back to the room." And then he said, "I asked all the lead singers to stay back. So where are you going?" I said, "Yes, lead singers." Then he was like, "Yes, you are a lead singer, right? Where are you going?" And then I was like, "Brother, me? Are you sure?" Then he smiled and said, "Yes, please stay back." Then I was like, okay, I stayed back. So you know how the ego being crushed, and then again you're being acknowledged as a lead singer again, and now slowly started coming out. Swami was just playing with me at that time. Then he said, okay, all the lead singers are here, so we have to prepare 8 or 9 bhajans, so each one will be getting to sing 2 bhajans. We were happily practicing. I felt so happy. I went back to the room and I actually thanked Swami, and I thought maybe, it is to give me this blessing that he actually took away the mic. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, fine, chorus, doesn't matter if they take the mic away from me. It's okay. I have a bonus blessing now. I'm singing 2 more bhajans. And obviously, if I am the lead singer for the bhajans, I will be having a mic. They can't take it away from me, right? So in my mind, I'm like, okay, I'm fine with it. I have made peace with whatever is happening. And again, I started getting excited of the fact, forgetting that whatever we do, Swami is the one who is making us do anything. That night, my roommates also wanted some help from me. They wanted me to go through line by line and help them practice so that they can also offer their best for Swami the following day. And to me, I was already very excited, so I said, okay, why not? And that night, 2 or 3 hours, I went through with him line by line of all the songs we were to sing, and we were singing and singing and singing for 3 hours. I went to sleep. In the morning, on the day of my performance, I woke up and my voice is completely gone. My voice is completely gone. I can't even touch the Shruti. I can't even sing or hear my own voice when I sing. My voice is completely gone. Now you tell me, how am I to sing? The choir songs or the bhajan songs? Whether the mic is there or not, it doesn't really make a difference because your voice is not there. I just woke up and I was crying and crying and crying, and I was asking Swami, what is it that you want? This morning when I woke up, the one thing I had to offer, my voice, my music, you have taken it away from me. Now how am I to sing, Swami? I was really, really helpless. And I was in the total state of surrender. When your voice goes, what can you do? You can't do much, right? During the practice sessions, I went and told the sister, I was crying to her, the sister who was singing combined bhajan with me, and I told her, sister, I don't want to spoil the bhajan, so please you just sing the 2 bhajans, I don't want to sing with you. So she actually scolded me saying, stop thinking anything and just to give your best and pray to Swami to sing through you. This is what she told me. So from that moment onwards, I knew that evening was my performance day. What can change, right? I can't sing anything. So the only thing that I had was praying. And the only prayer I made was, Swami, please sing through me. Swami, please sing through me. Swami, please sing through me. This was my prayer. So on the evening, the program was about to start. We went to the Kulwant Hall. We all took positions where we had to sit. So I went and sat in the second row. So mine was an aisle seat in the second row. So from the second row, after going and sitting there, I realized that, the view of Swami from the second row was much better than the view of Swami from the front row. With my closed eyes, I was praying to Swami, saying that, Swami, I came here to see you. I came here to sing for you. And I came here to have your darshan, Swami. I have absolutely nothing to offer you. You have taken away my voice. And here I am sitting. I have absolutely nothing to offer you but my prayers and my devotion. So I'm gonna sit here. You have given me a good seating. I'm gonna sit here. I'm just gonna look at you for the next 45 minutes throughout the program, and I'm just gonna enjoy the darshan. Just as I was making this prayer, a thought crossed my mind. Maybe Swami knew that my voice will go, and maybe that's the reason why he did not give me the mic. Maybe why he made all these changes, and maybe why he did not give me a microphone. Just when I was thinking that, one of the students of Swami, he brought a mic and he kept it in front of me. I was like, Swami, what? Are you kidding me? Now you're keeping a mic in front of me? You take my voice and now you have given me mic for what? In my mind, I was like unconsolably sitting and crying and crying. I didn't know what to do. I was like, but all I knew is Swami was just playing around with me and my feelings. I was crying and I said, I don't know what to do, Swami. So when the mic was kept there, I was like, I'm not supposed to get a mic, and I'm looking at everyone and everyone is quiet because Swami is already coming into the Kulwant Hall. So he came and he crossed all of us and he was going to the stage. I was just in tears because I was in a helpless situation at that time. I just didn't know what to do. I was like in complete total surrender at that moment in my life. A lot of things came everything started to get very clear. I was in a state of surrender. I've never experienced surrender before in my life, but that moment was an absolute, complete surrender for me because my voice was taken away. I had to perform, and there was a mic get in front of me, and I couldn't sing. So when Swami was passing in front of me, my only prayer to Swami at that point of time, out of complete surrender from my heart, was, Swami, please sing through me. 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 So Swami went to the dais and he took his position, asked for the program to start. So I was thinking in my mind saying that, Swami, I cannot sing, so I'm just gonna pretend as if I'm singing because I have a mic in front of me. I'm gonna pretend as if I'm singing and I'm gonna lip sync. And that's exactly what I did for the entire program. I just kept repeating this Namasmarana after and after. Swami, please sing through me. Swami, please sing through me. During the program, I think I was disturbing Swami with my prayer, Manasa prayer. In my heart, that he gave me. He was like giving me these expressions and stares like, "What is this? Okay, I will sing through you. Now, can you please keep quiet?" That kind of expressions. And when he looked at me with that expression, I used to be like, Swami, smile again. And again, when he looks at the program or when he's focusing on something else, again, like, Swami, please sing through me. Swami, please sing through me. Swami, please sing through me. This was like a Namasmarana I repeated for the entire 45 minutes. We got to perform the three beautiful choir songs, with all of it which made very much sense because of the state of mind that I was in. All the songs, I was actually feeling it and singing it from my heart. So after the performance, Swami was very happy. He came down. He was actually interacting with a lot of kids. We got to see Swami at a close proximity. He agreed for a group photograph. We were blessed with a photograph of Swami, with Swami as well. And when he was distributing prasadam, he asked for the bhajans to start. So from the second row, I was then moved to the first row for singing bhajans. So I was also blessed to sing 2 bhajans in front of him, Mrityunjaya Namavam and Ayodhya Vasi Ram. And both the bhajans, when we offered both the bhajans, Swami was very much there and putting thala for the bhajans. But I was not singing. I knew very well that I was not singing. I was just, pretending to sing and trying to sing my best during the entire performance. When the bhajans were going on and Swami was going inside the darshan and come out, but he didn't want us to think that he were leaving. So I had this blessed opportunity where I was sitting in the front row and Swami actually gestured saying that I'll go inside and come, you wait, like that, I'll go inside and come, you wait. So I was sitting in the front row like this and I was like, okay, Swami, I was so happy that he even spoke to me. This was the first experience for me speaking to him directly. I was so happy that he spoke to me, he looked at me, he smiled at me, and he also blessed. So all these experiences actually overcome my grief of not being able to sing for Swami. So after the program was over, we came out and there were a group of sisters who ran and came to me and mentioned that, sister, you sang very well and we could hear your voice, you sang very well. In my mind, I was just thinking that, they are just telling out of love for me, and I know what the reality, and everyone the singers who were with me knew what the reality is. My voice is completely gone. What could I have possibly sang? Then the bhajan coordinator, who actually made the move, came to me and said, Sai Ram sister, You sang very well. I could hear your voice. And then I was like, how is it possible to hear my voice? I know I did not sing. You must be kidding. But we were all like in that bliss of being in the presence of Swami, and we were very happy that we actually finally got to offer. After the darshan and after my performance, we came back to Singapore, and we had a reunion where we got the CD. So we decided that as the entire choir group will get together and watch the video and relive the moments for the first time. So they were playing the program, and when the songs came in, you believe it or not, dear brothers and sisters, I could hear my voice. My voice was prominent yet blended with the whole group, and I could recognize that it was my voice. I could spot my voice even if it was in the choir. I just couldn't believe what I was hearing, because I know that I did not sing. Then where is this sound, or where is this music coming from? It was then that I really realized that it was not us singing. It was really Swami singing through each and every one of us. When we sing, when we do any activities for that matter, when we sing, it is actually Him who is doing, and we are just His instrument. We are just like that hollow flute where Lord Krishna can play His music. We are just like the speakers who just amplifies the voice. The source of the voice is coming from Swami Himself. That lesson was drilled into my head at that point, at that very moment, and I realized that whatever we do in our life, it is not us doing, it is Swami doing through us. It was indeed Swami singing through us. For me personally, that was the day total transformation happened, because I was transformed from a performer to a singer. I was transformed with the knowledge that it is Swami indeed singing through me, and it is not us singing. So when there is an ego, he goes. I've always heard this talk by Brother Ame, and he always says, Swami doesn't like ego, and when there is ego, he goes. And that's really what happens. When there is ego, he goes, and when he goes, we come to a complete surrender. The voice goes, everything goes, and we come to a complete surrender. And it is in that surrender we realize the important lesson in our life, that it is Swami really the doer. We are not the doer, and we are just mere instruments in His hands. Since then, every time a mic is placed in front of me, I don't take it for granted. I know that the mic can be taken away from me anytime. I know that it is not me singing, it is not my voice or my singing. I know that it is Him singing through me. And that is the biggest lesson I have learned in my life, brothers and sisters, which has changed and transformed my personal journey as a singer. And ever since then, when I sing, the bhava automatically comes. So there is the humility, and the bhava goes hand in hand. Where there is humility, there is bhava. So when you don't have the ego, and when you're really humble and you're presenting a song for Swami, that song becomes so sweet that it touches on to the bhava, and that bhava connects to everyone that is listening. So after that, there are many a times when many devotees have come to me and said, Anushri, you have sang very well. So I just fold my hands and I say Sai Ram, and in my mind I know, Swami, this praise is not for me. Swami, this is for you, because you are the doer and not me. So I would like to leave you all with that thought, and let's contemplate everything that we do in our lives, everything that you do for Swami. It's not you doing it, it is Swami doing through us. So let's be that humble instrument, humble, hollow instrument, just like flute. So Sai Krishna can play his music through all of us. Sai Ram. I would like to now conclude this episode with Jaya Vijayi Bhava Stotram. This song is very close to my heart and sums up all that Swami is to me.
Ayodhya Mathuramaya Kashi Kanchiyavanti
शक्ति शुद्ध सिद्ध मुक्ति मुक्ति प्रभाव क्षेत्रां तरंग सुशोभित शोभा विलासा गोदोलितो सरित सुंदरांग चित्त चोरा अद्याश्चर्य घटन घटना सामर्थ्य नित्य विभूति लीला विभूति उभय विभूति नाथा श्री रंगनाथ श्री वेंकटनाथ श्री वैद्यनाथ श्री स्वामीनाथ श्री षण्मुखनाथ श्री साईनाथ देवादिदेव देवा जय विजयी भव पुट्टपर्ति चक्रवर्ती सच्चिदानंद श्री दशरथ राम सीता राम कोदंड राम मारुति राम सुंदर राम आत्मा राम पट्टाभिराम श्री साई राम नित्यानंद प्रेमानंद ब्रह्मानंद परमानंद ज्ञानानंद हृदयानंद आत्मानंद नित्य कल्याण जाज्वल्य नित्यश्री नित्यमंगल सर्वमंगल सौभाग्यप्रदायक भगवान श्री सत्य साई स्वरूप स्वामित्य वात्सल्य सौशील सौलभ्य अनंत कल्याण गुणगणौक महानव जय विजयी भव सचित्र साई भुजगेंद्र साई नंदांग साई कमलांग साई क्षीराभि साई वटपत्र साई श्रीरंग साई श्री सत्य साई स्वरूप आत्मलिंगोद्भवकरा ज्योतिर्लिंगोद्भवकरा प्रेमलिंगोद्भवकरा स्वर्णलिंगोद्भवकरा रम्यलिंगोद्भवकरा नादलिंगोद्भवकरा नाभिलिंगोद्भवकरा श्री साई लिंगेश्वरा श्री शिरडीश्वरा पद्दीश्वरा परमेश्वरा जगदीश्वरा महेश्वरा विश्वेश्वरा सर्वेश्वरा श्री साईश्वरा अखिल जगदाधारा अखिल जगत् स्वामिन् अस्मत् स्वामिन् अचरण्य चरण्या श्रीमन्नारायण अखिलांड कोटि ब्रह्मांड नायक सत्य धर्म शांति प्रेम हिंसावतारा श्री सत्य साई स्वरूप नेत्रानंद नित्योत्सव नित्य कल्याण सर्वमंगलाकार सर्वभूत दयापर सर्वभौमा साई